back from the short commercial break, and this is Financial Markets with me, Julius Nsubiga. And well, with our last part of this segment, just trying to analyze and also look at the global stock markets and how they are performing. And well, it is right now time to get into the other components of the stock market globally, and some of these are basically very important indices. When you want to invest, you have to look at indices as well, because indices gives you a collective performance of a certain set of companies, and so there you can be in position to really make a very good choice. But in Europe, looking at the Great Britain, as basically we saw earlier on, using the Market Watch. Market Watch is showing us that the Financial Times Stock Exchange 100, that its share price is up by about 0.32%. I beg your pardon. So it's up by about 0.12, 0.11%, and thus giving us a value of about 3.34 points, around there, and about 7,400 pounds in terms of value. So, well, this is quite something very interesting, and it is important to note here that in spite of the values changing right now as we speak, it is also important to note that the Financial Times Stock Exchange 100 is, we must say, it is basically up right now. But even now, as we speak, it has just gone down. So it is very much volatile. Even now, it's down. But nevertheless, the closing day will give us a very good glimpse of what it really looks like. So the Financial Times Stock Exchange, as we speak, has just changed. And that is a very good representation of a volatile market as we speak right now. So it's not that much stable. That is the Financial Times Stock Exchange 100, which is showing, it is basically representing 100 companies listed, publicly listed on the London Stock Exchange in London. So best performing 100 companies publicly listed in the Great Britain, and that is what it is showing. They are down as well. When you look at the DAX is another important one. The DAX is from Germany, and it is also showing a downward trend right now as we speak. But it has shown it was showing that probably it was also down in the past previous few hours since opening. And so the DAX is also down by about 0.8, that's the range, and that's representing about 116. But around that range right now, it is where it is changing, bringing it to a value of about 14,242.57 right now as we speak. That's the DAX in German. It's representing all those companies listed on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange in Germany. So you can see that it is down as well. Well, looking at I'm very much interested also in the Financial Times 140 is also down. That index is basically now, for it is representing about 140 companies listed in Europe, in the Great Britain. So it is also showing a downward trend right now. So the Sensex 500 is also showing a downward trend, and so are the others. It is an important trend right here. Most of the stocks in Europe right now have plunged, and some have plunged and some have gone slightly down, as we can see. The most stable one in the past few hours has been the Financial Times Stock Exchange Index 100, but it is also now at this point in time down as we speak right now. So that is a general feel of the European stock market, and it is basically important to note that as European stocks are actually more volatile right now. Because they are actually many Russian companies operating in Europe in a stalemate right now in terms of their share prices. They are really not performing quite well, and also the Russian stock market right now is closed, so it's not operating, just to avoid losses here and there. And the Central Bank of Russia also has ordered the stock market not to allow any investments coming from foreign companies. And thus, it is, I think, a very wise move, because when you let the markets basically open right now, it just leads to losses in value of investors' money. And so it is very important to also note over there. So now looking at the Asian as well. If you look at the Asian index, well, the Dow Jones has also an index for Asia. And the Dow, I normally want to look at the Asia Dow Jones because it is a very important index as well. But in Asia, the story is quite different, and you can see here that the Asia Dow Index is showing us that it is up by about 0.4% right now as we speak. The numbers are changing all the time, but it gives us a glimpse of what is happening right now. But that 0.4% increase is represented by about 16.29% increase in points, and also thus bring it to about a value of about 30,006 right now as we speak. 3,006, sorry, as we speak. But of course, these are all basically changing all the time, and probably we don't know how the Asia Dow will close by the end of the day. But as we speak right now, it's basically showing that it is up by about 0.4%. The Nikkei, the Nikkei 225, remember, is the Japanese index showing all companies, the best performing 225 companies listed, publicly listed on the Japan stock market. And so it is showing that it is up by about 1.3%, which is quite something as well, giving it that 1.3% is a representation of about 327 points up. That's quite something. And of course, bring it to a value of about 25,844.32 right now as we speak. So the Nikkei has been quite also constant in the past few past 2 days, based on my observation. And also the Asia Dow has also been a bit up. The Nikkei as well has also been up. The Hang Seng is the index that is basically representing best performing companies in Hong Kong. And right now it's been in a loss, but right now it is showing that it has now gone up with opening of the trade. And so we can see that a lot is also happening in Asia right now. Many stocks are bouncing back, and some of them have been in a downward trend, like the Hang Seng, and where we can see it now really a bit. When you see that green, it means probably it is good to go right now. So we can see also in Shanghai in China, mainland China, is showing that probably you also have the share, the stock is basically up by about 0.37%. That is quite something as well. The Shanghai is showing that the stock is up by about 0.37%, and thus bring it to a value of about 26.15, and thus bring it to a value of about 3,400.01. And so I think this is quite interesting. You also see the Singapore index is showing that all these companies in Singapore on average are up by about 1.5, giving it a value of about 3.32, around 32, 34, that's the range, 0.5% points, I beg your pardon, points. So the Singapore index is showing that the stock is up by about 1.5, and that increase, if you compute it, is about 34 points, and the value is about 1,002. It's about 3,271.13, and that is the Singapore. So having a look at the Asia, though the Nikkei and the Hang Seng, the Shanghai, and also the Singapore index, they're all up right now as we speak. Asian stocks have been actually more stable in the past few days, and it seems like many of them are basically operating normally. And in spite of the fears in Russia and mixed feelings in the United States right now, so because the United States is much involved in that. The United States is very much involved, and probably we may see more mixed feelings in the next few days. So by all means, it basically tells us that this is not yet over. So, but looking at some of these, looking at rates over here, the rates just right over here, you can basically have a feel of what the bonds and probably in different countries, how they are performing. So my colleague probably will help me with the rates over there. Amoriat will help me with that. You can see that red section, the red section right here is basically, now you can see the US 10-year bond is up right now as we speak. As we speak, the US 10-year bond is up by about 0.0155 points. Thus, the yield is about 1.04. Well, this is basically showing us that the US bond is the only bond that is basically gaining a yield as we speak. Others, like the German 10-year bond, the Germany 10-year bond is showing that probably it is down by about 0.002 points, and thus the yield as well of about 0.113. So the German bond is down, and the Italian bond, the 10-year bond, is also down by 0.14, and so is the Spain, the Spanish bond is also down by 0.03, but these are changing all the time. The UK 10-year bond is also down by 0.07, and well, the Japan bond is also a bit down right now. But this is just only an overview of the bonds and the rates and how basically they are performing. But it is important to note that the US bond is the only one that's giving you a yield, a positive yield right now, and the rest are only giving you a negative yield as we speak right now. But these are probably more long-term, and probably we can see that as time goes by, it is only after a certain period of time that probably you have to compute this. This probably a few hours probably trading of bonds probably cannot dictate what probably could be happening next in the next few months or probably even years. Looking at futures right over here, the futures segment, you can basically also see that the futures most of the time are also futures are more like contracts. Futures are more like contracts between the buyer and the seller to basically buy certain assets at a given price. over and also at a given time. So most of the time, futures are more stable, and they are actually. This is done because the market forces of demand and supply are always in play, and by all means, you want to really de-risk that kind of trend by basically looking at futures. Probably futures are one of the basically ways you can have a safer return on your investment. But of course, you have to agree with the seller. For you to buy, you have to agree with the seller, the price, and the time as well. So as the price is constant and the time as well is stipulated, the market forces probably in that time lag are basically wavered off. So you can always at all times be sure that probably you will get your commodity or your stock at that price, and also without any forces of demand and supply influencing the prices, the prices of that commodity, so or even stock. Yeah, so it is important to note that when you actually look at the Dow future, the Dow future is up by about 0.22, but these figures are always changing all the time. They're being updated, so this is real time. These figures are real time, but it is up by about 0.2% right now as we speak. And looking at the S&P future, the Standard & Poor's future is also basically up by about 0.3% right now as we speak. The Nasdaq is down by 0.25% as we speak. It's been up also. It's been up in the previous few minutes, but now it is down. But now it is basically down. And you can see that, you can also see right here that that the Nasdaq is the only future that probably is down right now. Gold future, the gold future is basically, as we can see here, it is up by about 0.3% as well, and that's the range within which it is basically changing. And also it is important to note that silver as well, in this segment, in the future segment, is also up. Silver is up by 0.9% and giving it about a 0.15 change in units in terms of points, and giving it about a value of about $34.535. Well, crude oil is also up. The crude oil future, these are futures, remember. So many of us are seeing futures in probably magazines, in business magazines or financial, in financial magazines. But futures basically are more of like contracts. They are contracts between the buyer and the seller to transact certain commodities and stocks at a fixed price at a given period of time, so as to waive off all the market forces of demand that may influence the price within the process. And so they are more stable to market conditions. And that is why you see the Nasdaq future is the only one probably that is a bit down, but this is more of a very good way to de-risk your investment. Most of the time, you have to get into a contract with the buyer. So just recall that every investment is always risky, and you can't really pull out the risky side of it, because it's always going to be risky. However much of an analysis you make, anything goes wrong, you can lose money at any one point in time. But the best thing you can do is that, having lost your money, losing money is good when you did all your homework. Losing money without probably doing your homework is the worst of all. So you must do your due diligence. And well, just to give you a glimpse of also, we can basically see right over here, right here that there is the Russell 2000, the Russell 2000 index. The Russell 2000 index is a very important index as well. It basically shows about 2,000 small companies with much more smaller market capitalizations. And well, it's basically, it is showing that, it is also showing that it is up by about 0.3% right now as we speak. But these figures are changing all the time, bringing it to a value of about 2,048.09 US dollars right now per share. That's the value right now. And so the Russell is important as well to note right there, because it represents the, it's an index representing 2,000 companies with the lowest market capitalizations. And it's probably regarded as one of the best by there, because if you want to invest in smaller companies, publicly listed, with lower market capitalizations, you can basically play your cards there. There is always an opportunity that probably someone else isn't seeing. Cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, US dollar, probably you can see over here that all these are up. The S&P US dollar, the Bitcoin Cash US dollar, many of them are up right now as we speak. So the Bitcoin is basically up right now, most around, they're basically gaining, as we can see right here. But we'll have a much more closer look at the Bitcoin and how it is basically faring probably tomorrow, if you basically join us. And we hope that probably you will indeed join us, so we can have a very candid overview of how all these tradings are happening all across the world. The stock market, remember, is a very important market. And right here, even in Uganda, we can see a bit of an improvement, and we see more companies joining the stock market. And when we compare with probably other African stock markets, ours is probably only a baby, and however, it is growing as well. And there's so many things to look out for. So right now, probably as I am concluding, I'm saying that probably investing is something you may want to make a culture. It's always risky, but you may start with something that probably won't hurt you much, but still you don't want to basically lose. So that is how you start to invest. You invest by starting with an amount that basically you don't want to lose, but you can afford to lose. And that is probably the beginning of your journey. So in the next few days, we're going to be closely watching the stock market and seeing how it is responding to the global events, including the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and then probably we can basically have a much more glimpse of the global stock market. And in the few days to come, in the world of finance, in the world of so many of these economies, as we are going to be looking at them and digesting every single one of them, so as to, at the end of the day, become smarter and also make smart decisions and drive our businesses, just like what we believe in here. It's all about driving business. Just recall that Financial Markets comes to you live Monday to Friday, 10 to midday. And then probably my colleague as well comes up with Forex trading right at midday to 1. And this is where we are always privileged and honored to give you the best of business broadcasting and adding value to your lives and to your businesses. See you tomorrow, same time. Julius Nsubuga, Smart 24.